when you make a solution, you're going to take the solute and the solvent, you put those together and you make a solution. So we say the solute dissolves in the solvent to make the solution. This is called like dissolving. This is the forward direction here is dissolve. The reverse of that process is when it crystallizes. So crystallization. So when it crystallizes, it's going in the opposite direction. So you have the solution happening in the forward direction, the solute plus the solvent makes the solution, dissolving. And the opposite of that is when sometimes the solute molecules will find each other, they will recrystallize, they will start to form the solid. And that's really going to happen, when you start reaching a saturated solution. So when we talk about solubility, we're talking about the maximum amount of that solute that we can dissolve in that given solvent at a certain temperature. You know that you've reached that solubility, you've reached that maximum capacity when there's also some excess solute present. So you can see some solid forming in there. Then you have a saturated solution. So at a saturated solution, you've reached this dynamic equilibrium where the rate of the dissolution equals the rate of the crystallization. So that's why we have a double arrow there. The forward reaction equals the reverse reaction. You're at an equilibrium. You have a saturated solution. You have dissolved as much as possible of the solute in the solvent at that temperature. And then there's also going to be some undissolved solute. You should have some solid solute particles in there as well. So saturated means you have reached the maximum amount that solvent is holding, the maximum amount that it can, and you'll also see some solid present. For an unsaturated solution, that just means you haven't reached the saturation point yet. So unsaturated just means you have less solute than the maximum. So you can still keep dissolving more solute in there. And then until you've reached your saturated solution. And supersaturated, this is kind of crazy. This is when the solvent holds more solute than it's supposed to at that particular temperature. And so how do you do that? You can dissolve some solute in there, increase the temperature. Usually at higher temperatures, you can dissolve more of your solute. And so you have this at a really high temperature, and then you slowly cool it down without disturbing the system. And then you're going to be at a temperature, maybe bring it back down to room temperature. And now you're going to have more solid dissolved in there than you really should at that temperature. And you can make it crystallize really quickly. You just add a little seed crystal. So just add a little bit of your solid into your solution, then it'll all come out of solution. And there's a video if you want to watch it down here. You just disturb your system, and then it'll crystallize right away.